Hello Kunal, welcome to Safarnama. Let's just start with a little bit introduction about you. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi Prashant. My name is Kunal Malik and I'm 24 years old. I recently completed my master's in forensic science and I'm aiming to be a researcher.
So today we'll be talking about the entire topic about how men are actually fitted into a box. Like we are supposed to be behaving in a certain ways and how we are dealing with the gender norm that has been predefined beforehand to for us to be fitted into. So let's just get started with it. So first of all, like, I want to know what are your views about it? What are your views about the people who are breaking these gender stereotypes?
See, Prashant, like what I feel that our society, like it has been not a society, I mean, our culture, it has been, it has a leading role in setting up, social stigmas and in creating a gender biased patriarchy. So, before understanding how these people, like why and how these people are breaking these gender norms, and we need to understand like what is the root cause of this problem. So this patriarchy, it's it's not just something which has come up within just a decade or something. It's been around for like hundreds of years. So in our society, in our Indian culture, in our Indian society, we have we are expected to follow a certain in a certain behavior to be accepted, like a man or like a male or female. They they need to put up some sort of standards. Like a male is expected to behave in a very macho way, that they are supposed to be strong, they are supposed to be the breadwinner of the family. On the other hand, female are supposed to be more docile and the one like who should be men, just maintaining the family behind the scenes and not majorly contributing in the uh, earning part of the the earning part of the family. So these gender norms, they have been they are kind of very stringent, and they kind of create a lot of problem in the modern society. A lot of people, they don't feel very good when they kind of they get restricted, they get constrained because of being put up under in a box, and they just can't rise above themselves. That's what I can say. They just they cannot accept themselves because of the social conditioning that we have been taught to accept just the binary gender, like just there is just male or a female. So I really feel as a person, as a generation Z, as a generation Z person, I kind of feel kind of very liberating when somebody comes on out on social media, like comes to me and they come out as a third gender or as a new gender or gender fluid. I mean, that is kind of
Right.
empowering. Mhm. Yeah,
So
Prashant.
do you think there is a role of patriarchy in setting up these boundaries, which we were talking about?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like I mentioned before, that this patriarchy, it isn't just around for just a decade. It's been hundreds of years, like which has shaped our culture, which has shaped us into thinking, into it's just a form of social conditioning. Like a person should be either masculine or feminine, but as a human being, like even as per like what I feel personally, that even I have varying proportions of masculinity and femininity inside of me. So these gender norms which have been set up by the patriarchy, it I do not fit into that particular image. It's just not me. It's not just me. Like there are a lot of people who are coming out as a bi-gender, agender, all other new genders which have been coming up. And I mean, there have been a lot of awareness regarding these gender norms and how we can overcome those problems which have been set up by the patriarchy. So I personally feel like we are slowly progressing towards a more gender neutral society.
Okay, so talking about we are progressing towards the gender neutral society.
Mhm.
I have been noticing on various social media handles, we have got some influencers like Siddharth Patra, or we have got Ankush Bhaguna. These people have been actually trying to be something different. They are trying to be a little bit different what we actually used to think about a typical
Mhm.
influencer look like. So what do you have to say about that? Do you think these influencer has been somehow helpful in um, creating a scenario where we are much becoming much more accepting as a society towards the gender neutral norms?
Mhm. Of course, I do feel that these influencers, they play a major role in, and creating awareness and bringing up acceptance in people. Like in our society, we are still not acknowledged. Like a person who is non-binary, a person like who does not fit into the equation of the binary scale, they are still not acknowledged, and we are still in the initial stages. I mean, we are still lagging behind from what the society, like from what we want our society to be. We want our society to be more, accepting. We want our society to be more safer, a place like where we can all be ourselves. We are still in the initial phase, and we are getting acknowledged. It's not like that we are not getting acknowledged. I mean, the acceptance among the people, it has gotten, like, it has risen, it is like gradually rising, but it is still not that much prominent. Like if I pick somebody out in a public, like a random person, he might still be very much constricted to those gender norms. And uh, I mean, that is kind of sad. Like, but still, like, we are progressing, and I kind of feel very happy about this. And coming to the influences, I personally feel that technology has been, a very vital part in delivering the awareness regarding all such gender norms, and all the problems that a person face because of these gender norms. Like for example, a male is being, he's expected to be the breadwinner of the family, and the title that men do not cry, and it kind of impact men's mental health a lot. And on the other hand, like females are expected to be docile, and they are expected to sit at home, and they are deprived of their basic rights. Like it is still happening, and it is very unfortunate. But like because of, I wouldn't say just only the social media influencers, but in people in general, like they have been putting up a lot of campaigns. Like for example, feminism is a movement like which is very vital to break these gender norms. Feminism, and even there are different LGBTQ activists who tackle these problems. Like they are providing the aid to let people aware like what actually are different genders, and how we can accept those. So like I do not blame the society as such. Like if you have been you like if you have a it is kind of doctrine. It's a doctrine. Like you have been imposed with the knowledge, like, and imposed with the social conditioning. Okay, they are just two genders, they are just binary equation, and you have to fit either in left or right, either in black or white. And suddenly there's just there is color and rainbow everywhere, and obviously like people kind of fear the unknown, and they feel like what they are oblivious to. So like it is hard to create acceptance. It is hard to get acknowledged. But I guess we are on the right track, and these social media influencers, like whenever they come out to the fans, whenever they come out and deliver a speech of certain content, like this particular podcast we're talking about, like for example, like it kind of empowers someone. Like even I feel empowered when I listen to them, and I'm learning something new day by day. Because in this advent of in this era of technology, if we won't change, we will lag behind, and that is what is actually happening with us right now in our society.
Okay, that's super
Yeah.
nice. Even I personally, when I look at Siddharth Batra dressing entirely flamboyant, I personally feel comfortable if I am experimenting with my dressing sense. So I think that is one of the main
Hmm.
things what we have been getting through, because we are not just accept, we celebrate these influencers.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
talking about acceptance, don't you think this acceptance is a little bit superficial? Like we accept what we see on the social media, but when someone very close to us do something exactly the same, we are much more entirely on the judging part. We'll be saying, no, that looks,
Hmm.
when we see it on social media, but when we see it in front of us, then we are more like, no, that is not something I would prefer. What do you have to say?
Hmm. See, like this is like a real problem. Like people, they are accepting, but like it is kind of superficial. I would agree on this point, but you see, there are few people, who are like liberal, who accept these things, like who have just changed their conservative views. Even I was a conservative along like a few years ago, but recently I've been discovering myself. I've been discovering, talking to a lot of people, and I've been expanding my horizons. And yeah, that's what I have noticed. Like for example, you are just having an informal chat with your friends, and they kind of, even though on the social media to gain publicity, or to to promote to show themselves in the good side. Okay, they're promoting a certain movement, they're promoting something. they will support it superficially, but like when it comes to the conversation, they crack some gender biased jokes, and which is not kind of it kind of hurts people because they are already trying to be open, like they're still accepting themselves when they haven't, and like they have this internalized phobias, and when you see there are phobia outside, you tend to closen yourself more up, like you become more closeted than before, and that kind of use your mental health. So yeah, like but I mean that is not the scenario with everyone. Like people are being superficial these days, like they are, the acceptance is superficial to some extent, but there are people who are like who have absorbed this acceptance down to the psyche, and they are breaking the gender norms, taking consideration of people like they are gender fluid people, they are non-binary people. Actually kind of celebrate themselves, like they are comfortable with who they are, like until and unless you don't accept yourself, how are you gonna expect someone else to accept you? So they celebrate themselves, they celebrate being uh, different from the binary gender, which we have been conditioned to see, like conditioned to think, okay, only this thing is right. So
Celebrating the diversity.
mhm. Yeah, so we should celebrate ourselves, we should celebrate other people, like that's the
So,
kind of world I would like to be in, where we are celebrated instead of having prejudice against one another.
so as we have talked about, like as you were talking about the community LGBT
Mhm.
community, so it has been a lot of awareness regarding it in the recent coming years. It has been like a recent trend only to support it. I'm not talking about the entire community as a trend. I'm talking about the people coming out and telling that they are stronger ally or they are part of the community. This has been just happening for the recent years, still like very recent, like 4 5 years. So do you think the acceptance
Mhm.
that is happening towards the community is somehow also promoting that people also being a little bit more sensitive towards men in general or towards
Mhm.
entire humanity in general?
I mean, like there are no doubt, like there are obviously pros and cons of a certain change, and there might be like there are some dark side to this acceptance, and like people, they tend to be uh, even the LGBTQ people, not in general. I mean, not just LGBTQ people, like people in general, like they tend to be have prejudice against one another. Like a straight person, you might show prejudice against a LGBTQ person, and an LGBTQ person might show prejudice against a straight person. And I mean, like that is kind of like the behavior is irrational, but I mean the behavior is kind of the irrational, but the way they react is kind of rational, because that's what they have been, that's how their upbringing was. I totally support LGBTQ, and the thing is, these movements, may it be LGBTQ, may it be feminism, these are kind of necessary to remove the these gender norms, which are so stringent, and they don't let you be who you are.
So what do you have to say about men who are experimenting with makeup these days?
Okay, so there are men who like they are experimenting with makeups, like they want to feel good about themselves, and like that's like totally normal, natural, and totally valid. Like there are people who are identified as like who identify themselves with drag either kings or drag queens. They they put on a lot of makeup, and they just change the persona, and I mean that is kind of nice. I personally feel empowered by seeing these people. I mean, they're out there, they're making a difference, they are accepting themselves, they're celebrating themselves. There could be a lot of negative side, we can talk about a lot of negative things, but I personally feel we should talk about we should see the more positive side to this thing. I mean, it will definitely take a while, but everything will, all these patriarchy, all the, the social stigma, they will subside. But it will take, it definitely it will take a lot of time.
According to me, what I think is because of these reasons, because of what we see, what a man has to be. Also, some kids are actually being bullied in school because they don't certainly confirm with what they have been told that they have to be like. And I think that is one of the most sad things that happened because of this entire persona. Because a child, when bullied at such a young age, can have serious, serious trauma. Uh,
Mhm.
so, do you?
Like being a,
Yeah, yeah.
please continue.
No, no,
Yeah.
please.
So being a victim of bullying myself, like I was bullied a lot during my school time, and the reason that I could think of is because like like I could not stick to the box of the toxic masculinity. Like my classmates, they expected me to be, more outgoing. They expected me to be an extrovert. They expected me to be a strong, like a typical male that they wanted to, but I couldn't. And I was like more of a gender neutral person. And I had more female friends, like, and that kind of, they kind of, took that point into consideration. And I wouldn't say like they, according to their own views, they stick to the gender norms, and they, kind of bullied me. So this happened for a very long time. And so like I can understand like how hard it can be to confer by the gender norms, like, and how important it is to, create awareness and acceptance among people. Like like it really hampers your mental health, and a person might end up committing suicide. And it's not just suicide, like, there are several other mental healths. And it's just not the it's not just about your gender identity, it's about your sexuality, it's about you being you. The society right now, it's just in its initial phase to, accept people.
Exactly.
Like it's still acknowledging, they are still acknowledging. And I mean, it will definitely take up some time to, to create that kind of acceptance among us. Like even in our family, our parents, they are kind of conservative. They have those conservative views, they have those conservative thoughts regarding the gender norms, regarding the sexuality of a person. But uh, as a youth of this, at the youth of this nation, I feel it is my responsibility to make a change, on my personal level. As an individual, I can make a change, I can educate my parents. And if somebody's, kind of making a gender biased joke, he's cracking a pun, I can be the breaker of the chain, and I can stop it there. Like I feel like these movements are very much necessary, like going out and supporting feminism, supporting LGBTQ community, and like everything is necessary. But also, taking small steps is also necessary. It is the small step, which makes the bigger image. It is the small pieces of the puzzle which makes the bigger image. So yeah, that's it.
So, do you personally feel a little bit constricted by the norms?
Pardon?
Do you personally believe to be
Mhm.
personally feel a little bit constricted by these norms?
Yeah, like initially, okay, like I would like to share my personal views on this. Like initially, I felt okay, like I've been constricted by these norms. And because I was still, on a journey to accept myself, to accept, okay, to know myself better. And as in this patriarchal society where we have these social stigmas, and I could not, relate to them. Only a fraction of people can relate to them, but I couldn't. And it created a lot of struggle for me internally to accept myself. And but since then I have accepted myself. And I try to be, very supportive to the people, to anyone who comes out as a non-binary, who comes out as a gender fluid or any other new gender. And we have to stick out for each other. And but yeah, like the main question is like, how do I feel constricted? Yeah, right now I feel constricted, because there is no, there's not a large scale acceptance in our society as of now. But yeah, I can choose the people with whom I can be open with. I can choose the people whom I can, who cares about me, who, give a damn to know me. I can educate them, I can make a difference for the other people, I can reach out to people, I can, I can do things on my end. So yeah, I do feel constricted, but at the same time, there are places where I feel like I'm appreciated for who I am.
So, do you think there's a hope? There's a hope that a man's mental health will be taken in a much more sensitive manner. According to what I have seen in the recent things that has been happening, we take men for granted. We take them. We take their mental health. We take what they feel a little bit on the granted side. We don't care about it much as a society in general. So, do you think there's a hope that we'll be taking them in a much more sensitive manner in the coming years?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, we are on the right track. I feel that we are, as a society, we are on the right track. We are, becoming more and more accepting. Like just 5 years ago, I couldn't even, have recognized myself being like an accepting person myself. Like even I had those stigmas, and I was, even I break it. Like if I can, like anyone can. And it is like, it's not just I'm the one who is, uh, becoming more accepting. It's everyone in general. We are on the right track. It might take some time, but like everything will come around. And yeah, we are working together as a community, as a individual. We are working together to, make the world a safer place where we all can be accepted for who we are.
So it was great the question round, and I had a great time discussing it with you. So now just let's move forward towards the next round of this conversation, where I'll be asking
Okay.
you a few questions that I would
Mhm,
like to call it rapid fire round. So I'll be asking you
mhm,
some questions, and then you'll have to give me an instant answer, or whatever you get in the
mhm.
first instant. Like, don't think about it
Okay.
much. Just tell me
Mhm,
whatever you feel. Okay, are you ready
mhm.
for it?
Sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So tell me one singer who have inspired you to be yourself, or have you admired for the personality and the talent.
Okay, so like if I just choose one singer, that would be like totally unfair to them. I mean, there are a lot of beautiful artists out there, not just singers, like other artists as well, who have been, my role model, who have been my inspiration. But like if I would to choose, I were to choose, like I'll choose either Halsey or Sam Smith. I mean, they came out and that is not easy for a celebrity to and definitely they are talented, and they are delivering the awareness, they're delivering the content of who they are, and their listeners, their fans, they are kind of associating themselves to them. Okay, they are normal, they are trying to, these singers, may be celebrity, they may be influencers, they are trying to normalizing these things, and that is kind of actually great.
Okay, I personally love Halsey myself. So
Oh,
tell me one book that you think everyone should read.
okay, so one book, like I like the book Ikagai.
Hmm.
It's a basically it's a Japanese concept of life, and how one, like, what's the reason that one is alive, and what's the reason, what derives a life. So it is a really good book, and it really helped me out to accept myself who I am, to help me with my day-to-day task. And yeah.
Okay, that was amazing. I would put it on my
Thank you.
to-read list. So tell me one of the your favorite influencer who you think is actually a standpoint or a very strong pillar in breaking these stereotypes we actually had a big conversation about.
Okay, so like the only influence, like what the influencer I wouldn't say it as influencer, but as an activist, the only like not the only, I mean the activist I personally see as a role model is Anjali Gopal, and she is the founder of the NAS Foundation, and she actively took participation in the criminalization of the Section 377.
Oh, that's actually really nice. I have to read about it because I did. Sadly, I didn't know about it. But
Oh,
is there anything you want to personally recommend us to watch, like for the
personally
people?
recommend us to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so I consider myself a weeb, and I watch a lot of Japanese animation. So
Oh,
yeah, so there are a few anime which I like. Like, among them are Demon Slayer and Death Note. I mean, they really, it's just good. Like, I cannot even put down into words what I feel for those anime. So yeah,
so
go for
yeah,
Demon Slayer and Death Note.
that's really really nice. So that was a really really good conversation I had with you, Kunal, and I'm very happy that you joined us
Mhm.
this part of Safarnama. And now I'll be wrapping it up. So tell me, like, one thing you want to talk about, or one thing you want to say before we wrap this whole thing up.
And yeah, like I really want to say to people, you're not alone. If you are hearing this, like I want to convey this message. I might be like, this is my first time, like I'm actually recording myself, and I'm a kind of an introverted person, but if anybody else is listening this, I want to know that you are totally valid, you are totally natural, and you should celebrate yourself, you should accept yourself for who you are, you should open yourself more, and express it to your loved ones, and they will definitely understand. There is nothing as such as key they won't accept you, like they might not initially, but eventually they will, and you're not alone in this. And lastly, I would like to thank the Vision HRC for giving me an amazing opportunity to come on this podcast and share my views.
Thank you, Kunal. It was really, really nice of
Thank
you
you
to
so much,
come
Prashant.
to talk to us. Thank you.